Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Embry, and I am the brand ambassador here at Travel Media Group. I want to first thank everyone for taking the time to join me on this webinar this afternoon, and I am super excited about this special presentation we have for you all today. Now, at the end of today's webinar, I will be providing my direct contact information in case you had any follow-up questions with the content that I'm going to be sharing. But you can also use the chat feature, which is located in your toolbar, to type any sort of questions or feedback. Now, I will be responding to those questions personally following today's webinar. Also, be on the lookout since today's presentation will feature an interactive poll and would absolutely love your participation. So let's go ahead and get started and learn the pro tips of managing your TMG OneView feed. And with me today on this call, we have a very special guest, Mr. Jason Lee, who is the Vice President of Product Development and Technology at Travel Media Group and the architect behind the OneView feed tool.
Hello, Ryan.
Hello, Jason. Let's talk about what we're going to be what we're going to be showing and demonstrating today, and what Jason's going to be reviewing with us about the TMG OneView feed. So today we're going to answer a couple questions like, what exactly is OneView? What is the difference between OneView and other reputation and social media tools out there? Maybe some tools that your brand is already providing you. How does OneView interact with multiple team members within your hotel? And how OneView also works with multiple properties if you're an owner or GM on this call that manages multiple hotels. And lastly, we're going to look at how you can ensure you are getting the most out of your TMG OneView feed. So with that being said, for those who are not familiar with OneView, Jason, can you give a brief description and really the functionality and thinking behind this tool in a hotelier's life?
Yeah, so we built OneView with a lot of different hoteliers in mind. And the reason why we built it that way was because we know that everybody uses these tools differently. And so while I might use this tool every day, I might log in and use the dashboard functionality, and I might use like some deeper analytic tools because I like numbers and because I'm into that. That may not be the function of another hotelier where you might be going in and being like, hey, I just want to be able to go in and quickly action something. I want to be able to respond to a review or be able to pick up a piece of social media and respond to that. And just also maybe in general, just be kind of in the know about what is happening in terms of feedback that guests are giving. So the tool itself is designed to be a feed, almost like a Facebook feed or an email feed, where the newest review or social media comes in, and it comes in the form of a tile, and it comes in newest to oldest, and you can just action these as they happen. But the other way you can also action this is through other means, like through an email or through an SMS notification. So we created a bunch of different ways to interact with this data, but ultimately it's a place, just like the name says, where you can have one singular view or one area where you can action all of these various different points of feedback or points of communication that a guest is trying to communicate with you.
So really, with it being 2019 and customers having so many opportunities to reach the hotels, give feedback, give comments, questions, whether that be through review sites, whether that be through social media or other means, this is a type of tool that rolls it all in one place and almost is a seamless place that not only is going to show you what they're saying, but also give you a way to action those items and respond directly to them, or like a comment on Facebook, or respond to a Twitter post or an Instagram post. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So it's hard to believe, but this solution here is actually just turned over 1 year old. And one of the things that me and you, when we talk to hoteliers, we start to kind of explain OneView and its functionality is they talk about the brand perhaps providing them a reputation tool like OneView. But as we both know, there's a huge difference between that and also OneView can actually complement those type of brand tools. So could you maybe go over that and what makes OneView unique, but also makes it complement some other brand tools that they provide?
Yeah. So just like you said, it's a place where you can action all of these various different communication points. And I think what brands do really well is they have a good place to bring everything together. So most of you who are part of any major brand have a centralized dashboard where you can go in, you can do rates, and you can see all of the various pieces of information that the brand would like you to see, and that includes reputation. A lot of times that data is a little difficult to get to, so you got to kind of drill in to get to it, and there's not a whole lot of alert functionality, and then there is no social media functionality to that. So what OneView does really well, and how it kind of augments that, is it is able to pull in all of your social media and all of your primary reputation information. So you're getting all this data. Anytime somebody leaves you feedback, you're going to be getting it in real time, but you're also getting it in a place that's really easy to access. It's mobile friendly. It's a real simple place to come in and interact, but it also allows you a lot of cool functionality to interact with this data. So I get a negative review like this. And I want to understand maybe where this happened or who this happened to. So this review is about an issue at a bathroom. So I could assign this immediately to maybe my front desk person and saying, hey, can you look up Deborah on this date and see if you can find out what room she was in? So maybe even before I message her back, I might actually put something into play to try to figure out what room this happened in, and I can send this straight out, and my front desk manager would get it. They would be able to figure out where this happened at and then get back to me. So anytime I assign this, I actually get actioned over here, so it shows the stuff that I've assigned to people, but I also am now kind of being proactive about what's happened with this review. And maybe I do that before I respond. So the other thing I can do is I can share positive feedback. So here's an excellent room with excellent amenities, great bathrooms, breakfast was well staffed. I can now maybe send this off to other supporting staff that supported those various areas, so they can see positive feedback from guests. So it's not just, we're only notifying our staff when something negative happens. But it's a way for you to be able to come in and action these, not just respond, but be able to figure out what happened and fix it. You can also add notes here, and any of your staff can add as many notes as they want to this, and that it all saves in a centralized place. You can set a reminder, so I can say, hey, you know what, I want to actually be reminded about this review tomorrow at the same exact time. I don't have time to deal with this right now. So you could click that, and then this will come right back into the top of your feed, and you'll get a little reminder notice that this happened. So it's a lot of really cool little pieces of function like this, where it takes it from maybe being a flat dashboard, a utility, and a brand, into something that's a little more alive and a little more actionable.
And it's a true tool, and it's those action items and the ability to respond in real time, as well as incorporating social media into this feed, because now those lines between reputation and social media has really blurred. So if you're not if you're responding to all of your reviews online, but you're neglecting your social media, people that are reaching out to you via social media, that's still part of your reputation now. So definitely a unique tool that pulls in both of those into a consolidated space where you can take real-time action. And one thing to note here as well is we see this obviously on desktop, but you and your team kind of knew where we were right now as far as how we use our mobile phones, and this was really a mobile-first solution. Is that right?
Absolutely. These individual tiles were designed first to be in a mobile environment, and that's also how all of our alerts and notifications are also designed.
And another great part about this solution and tool is two things: versatility and scalability. And we'll come back to scalability, but I want to talk about the versatility of this tool, because this is one of my favorite things is how well it works with multiple team members. We talked about that at the very beginning. I know you showed a little bit of as far as assigning, but talk about, how maybe a GM would use this versus a housekeeping department or a front desk manager. Talk about the different ways that team members use it, and also how you give them permissions and things.
So yeah, so inside of your settings, so if you're here, you can up in the upper right hand corner, you'll see settings, profile, and logout. If you go into your settings, there's a lot of great information in there. But first, it starts with your notifications, and I think we're going to talk about that in a second. But the next thing is that you can invite team members. And as you can see here, you've got first and last name, email address, and you can select their role. And this is where you can invite as many people as you want into the system. So there's no limit in the number of users you can have on an individual account. So you can add your entire staff to this, and the more the merrier. And I think, the more people that you have, especially that are stakeholders in individual issues, I think the better off you're going to be in terms of actually handling some of them, getting them fixed, so that another guest doesn't experience this. And I think this is that continuous improvement that happens at a hotel that it's hard to define, and I think sometimes it's hard to manage, because you're like, it's always in that panic. This thing happened in this bathroom. Hey, get up to room 314 and make sure that gets done right now. So you're not doing something maybe that's a little more deliberate. And I think that's where adding these team members and giving this real-time feedback really helps. And the other thing is, if something's happening in one room, chances are it could be happening in multiple rooms. It could be a single employee where all this is happening at. But going back to what you were saying, you can invite these team members, and then you can actually set their permissions. So if you were like, hey, for booking.com, you can see this is all for every single one of your tile types. But for booking.com, I don't want to have a bunch of people responding. So I can take that functionality of respond away from that person, but I can still allow them to assign, they can schedule, they can dismiss, they can write a note, they can view a response. So I can give them all of this functionality, or take that away. So you could really watch for things like, I think something like this is a really good thing. So a Facebook post is really volatile, because I can comment directly back from the portal. So if I'm using OneView and I get a Facebook, my front office manager or my front desk person gets a tile from Facebook, they could actually comment or like that. So I could take that ability to comment, and I could take the ability to like away from them, so that I'm safeguarded to that only like key people will do that. So it's a way you can get everybody involved, but that you can also safeguard responses and safeguard that data.
Absolutely. And to speak to your point there about messages on Facebook and other social media types, I think right now in the industry, there's such a concentration on review response time, but really, you talk about the places where guests want to be communicated the quickest, and it's really on social media. If somebody reaches out to you via Facebook for a question or an inquiry about your hotel, and you don't get back to them within a couple minutes, they could be logged off, or they could go ahead and move on to the next next hotel. So I think a tool like this is absolutely critical. And one more point, about the communication between team members. I was at the front desk for years, so being able to communicate with one another seamlessly from shift to shift, I think a tool like this is absolutely necessary if you want to get everyone on the same page, and to make sure that those minor problems maybe that happen in a room don't turn into major problems and impact multiple people's stay.
Definitely.
So let's move on to scalability, because that's another place where this tool absolutely exceeds everything that's out there. Can you talk about really what this tool is purpose for when it comes to multiple hotels in a portfolio, and maybe those GMs or owners that do have to have so much to manage? They want to be at a hotel whenever they can, but they don't have that clear view because they're not at the property.
Yeah. So we built OneView to accommodate all different types of organizations. So if you've got a multi-property organization and you want to see everything, we can attach as many properties as you want directly to you. So you can see here, you can have as many properties as you want. In this case, I've got 5 that are attached to me, but I could have, as many. But what's interesting is that each one of these is also actioned by you, again, giving that permission. So you could add a regional manager to a bunch of your properties. And so you see everything and they only see those 3. And then that general manager only sees their 1. So everyone sort of has this like cascading functionality that happens from the top all the way down to the property level, and then all the way into housekeeping, right? So it goes all the way through, but it allows you to quickly go from, if I'm here at this Best Western, I'm now I'm on my Comfort Inn. And now I'm at my independent property. So it allows me to like quickly move between these different properties, and I can get a view of what's happening right as it's happening. But I also get a different view of reporting as well. So if I have different types of reporting enabled through OneView, I can also move quickly. So I'm looking at this track dashboard where I see a bunch of different pieces of information, but I can move then quickly over to this next track dashboard and see it. So I can see it sort of like right in succession, but all of these things happen in real time. It's all real-time data, but it is designed, just like you said, Ryan, it's designed to scale. It's designed to like grow with you, and to create those levels of accountability. Because if you're at a management company and you want to hold a regional manager accountable for the reputation at their properties, but that regional manager also wants to hold the GMs accountable for their reputation, and the GM also wants to hold his housekeeping, maintenance, and front desk accountable for service and cleanliness and maintenance. So you're seeing this kind of cascade of accountability. If everyone is using the same platform, everybody's seeing the same data, and everybody's actioning it the same way, you can create this really nice chain of accountability that goes all the way from the top down to where it's actioned.
Absolutely, and the multi-property reporting in this tool is second to none. It gives key decision makers so much data when it comes to maybe marketing strategies moving forward. When we talk about training purposes, if they're seeing a trend of negative reviews around maybe housekeeping or front desk or customer service, and then also gives you some really good metrics as far as maybe where to focus capital investments moving forward as well.
Definitely. Yeah, you can hear the positive and negative sentiment reporting. There's really just great reporting that comes with the different solutions that we provide. So you could go and talk to a property about the things that they're doing right and the things that they need some help with as well.
Absolutely, and that's what these regionals and owners are of multiple properties are looking for. They're looking for ways to really optimize revenue and to optimize their hotels. Now, one theme around this whole presentation has been reacting to feedback in real time, and for that, you and your team have created some notifications, some alerts we've already talked about, but also a great daily digest email. Could you kind of go over that and what the thought process behind that was?
Yeah, so we built this daily digest email for one really important reason, and that is that you can get through the system, you can get updates for every type of review, and I'll show you that setting in a second. But what this does really clearly is it allows you this daily reminder of all the things that happened in the last 24 hours. So in this case, you see there was a couple of reviews at this hotel, there were a couple of social media comments, and then they also had some emails that they sent. So you can see pretty much everything, and it's not a whole lot of things that are happening, but what's neat about this is you can actually click into this, and once you click onto to this, you can actually go right into your hotel, and you can see that right up on top. So you can see now that since I clicked on that TripAdvisor, it took the review that I was looking at to the top, but it also sorted all of my TripAdvisor. If I go back to that same thing and I look at Expedia, it does the same thing for me. So it takes that Expedia thing to the top and it allows me to see everything that's going on with Expedia. So you can see quickly how you can react to this. You can use this as an actual living document, but you can also use this as a way to say, oh yeah, I need to get this, I need to assign this to someone, Or it also is a way for you, if you were doing all the review response at your hotel, to remind you that you need to do all these things. So you can put it in your inbox and say, okay, yeah, actually I got 2 reviews I need to respond to. And you just let them, you can sit them in there and you can go back to it and respond to them when you have time. But also you could maybe even take that time every morning. So it comes in at 8 a.m. to every property in their time zone. And this is where you get all this information.
And I think the important thing here to know again is that we're getting this feedback as quickly as possible, and the knowledge that it's there, because right now we talk to hoteliers that might have a strategy in place to say, okay, I check these review sites once a week or twice a week, and so much can happen in a day in the life at the hotel, and if it's not properly addressed in the proper timing, then that cause and effect happens there.
Absolutely.
So why don't you go ahead for those that maybe not that aren't, this is their first time kind of seeing this tool, or maybe even some of our current customers that actually have access to TMG OneView and don't utilize it as much. What would you give as far as tips on maybe those first timers? What would you say right off the bat they need to do with this?
I definitely go through, if you haven't gone through, actually, there's a little onboard where you go and you pick your reputation sites that you want to see. You can access our connector for your social media accounts. And then you can add people. If you haven't done that, you definitely need to do that first before you actually even see the feed. But you're already in the feed. You've maybe gone through training, but you haven't really accessed it. Going back into that settings thing is a really important place to be, because it allows you to, again, to kind of re-access this information. So you can see here that you can start. So I would start with my notifications, and you can say, hey, I want to be notified. So the top of this, right down here where you see alert timing, this is for for daily email, or for the daily email. So you can set that up so I can receive it every day, or I can never receive it. But at the same time, up above this, these are all going to be instant notifications. So if you're like, hey, I get a lot of reviews, so I maybe am not as curious, I don't need to know instantly about 3, 4, and 5, but I do need to know about 1 and 2. I definitely want to see my comments on my instant messages, my likes, check-ins. I want to see those, or I can turn those off. I can come in here and I can also add then I add my mobile phone number. I enable SMS, and once I do that, now I'm going to get a SMS message that's going to invite me to the system. And once you've done that, then you are actually going to start receiving these in real time. And so you have this real-time access to these as they come in, and you'll get an SMS alert that it's happened, and there's a little link on there. You click on that, and it drops you right back into your feed. So getting into this and setting up your timer, or you could set it up and so you don't do SMS at all, you do something else. Another cool feature of the SMS system is your ability to darken, to say, hey, I don't want to receive, I want to take a quiet period. So in this case, it's from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. So I'm not going to get anything at night, so while I'm sleeping. And so when you do that quiet period, it just holds those alerts until the next day. But that is that. So it's a really important place. And like I showed before, inviting team members then is the next crucial spot. And being able to get all your team members in. The other thing would be then also to then set the permissions for that team member, and make sure you have all that stuff set up. So getting into this and really getting this done first is a really important part, because it sets you up. If it's only going to be you're the only person that's going to be using it, then I would just dig right into the feed and start setting up other stuff. So one thing about like responding to reviews, you've got to make sure you've got your credentials for Booking.com, for Expedia. So once you have that stuff set up, then you can start responding to reviews and getting all those pieces together quickly. So that would be my starter setup.
So transitioning, what about those hoteliers that do check their feed regular? They have a lot of permissions set up. How can they take this tool to the next level?
I think really, some of the cool things that we offer here are some of the additional services that we have. But the feed snapshot is also is a really cool place to start because it's where you're obviously actioning these things quickly. So you can see the tiles that you have available. You can see that you have 2 tiles that came in today, and that kind of goes back to that email we saw. But also they assigned to me, assigned by me. So this is where you can keep track of your assignments. Using this little sidebar is a really great place to give you an overview of the individual actions. But another great place is in the advanced search. So in the advanced search section, where the difference between these two is while you have a filter here and you can filter by site, you can do all kinds of stuff on your main feed. As you can see on this, you only have 10 tiles on this feed. So when you go into the advanced search, you actually have 10, but you can add up to 50 to see at one time. But you can also go page over page. So you can go forward and backwards in terms of in time, but then you can also set up your timing here. So if I wanted to set up June 1st to now, and now I have all of those tiles sitting inside there, and then I can action them in all kinds of different ways. So I can say, hey, I just want to see, Facebook posts. I click on that, and now I just see my Facebook posts that have come in, and I can action and like them. So it's a real easy way to get that going. But if you want to take it even to a further level, and you have our review response program, one of the neatest things about the feed is the ability to sort by content of the review. So let's say I've got some issues that I've been hearing about in my bathrooms. And so like we saw that review about a bathroom, but let's say I'm like, you know what, I actually want to see everything that's happening in my bathrooms, good and bad. So I'm going to click on bathroom and I'm going to apply this filter. And what it does is it gives me the most current information about bathrooms down. So now I can see, I go in here and I can see, hey, what's going on? So in this case, this was a really great review about my bathroom. But if I go through and find maybe something more negative, I could try to find that just by rolling through and seeing, what might be negative, what might be positive. But you can do that for any of these different tags. And the tags are by, sorted really simply here by facility, location, room, and service. So you really simple tagging system that allows you to sort and pull information that's really important to whatever you're working on in that moment.
So this is the place where decision makers can really have some data to back up the decisions that they're making on a day-to-day, whether that be capital investment, whether that be time management and training, whether that be positive things and what their marketing strategy is going to be moving forward on social media. So I think having those sentiment tags in there and being able to have this data, it really gives you, some ammunition behind those decisions that you're making on a daily basis. So, really exciting stuff, Jason. If you don't mind, why don't you share back the screen with me? And while you're doing that, I know that a lot of the innovations and the way that this feed looks right now, the cool part about it is a lot of it was done with the feedback that we heard from hoteliers, or the way that hoteliers were utilizing this feed. So I know that from year 1 to year 2 is going to be incredible with some of the updates and innovations. Can you share any of that as far as what your team might be working on to kind of upgrade this solution?
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for the information that guests are giving to hotels, new ways to give that to a hotel. So new looks of data, new sites that are coming on. Like we added Instagram this year, so we have full access to Instagram. So any kind of social media sites that emerge that are important, we'd be adding. So we have the ability and flexibility to do all of that stuff in real time. But the stuff that we have developed, or that's in our development schedule, and our development schedule right now goes into 2021. So we've got a lot going on ahead of us already. But what's happening right now is we are working on giving additional functionality to the hotelier through a mobile application. And that's going to be coming up pretty quick. And right now you already have amazing mobile functionality that is right through the web app. But giving a web application or an application that you can actually download on your phone allows for increased functionality through alerts, through passing those tiles back and forth between team members. If all of your team is on that same thing, on that same app, the alerts are a lot cleaner. It allows you to do things and process information in real time much faster. And so those are the pieces that we're working on right now to make better. But, and I know we didn't talk about this on this webinar, but we also, everything that we do at Travel Media Group hinges around OneView. So the same view and same data that you access on OneView, reviews and social media, we can action those on your behalf as well. So, and we're actioning them in the same way that you would action them. Only, it's in our side of the platform. So increased functionality on all of those fronts. So the availability of us being able to, be maybe a help or an extra pair of hands for you in terms of review response and social media creation, and just overall being able to handle the influx of guests that are trying to communicate with you. So all of these things for OneView are coming up, and we're constantly evolving. And as you said, using the input that we get from hoteliers and how they would like to use the platform, and then things that they want to see. All of those things are constantly, on our in our eyesight, and definitely where we're driving towards to make an application that really works well for a hotelier.
Awesome. And before I let you go, like you mentioned before, if you are already a Travel Media Group customer, you already have access to this amazing tool and feed. You have your client success representative that can give you additional training if you would like, help you with those permissions, help you with those notifications, and reaches out to you to really get the most out of this feed. But if you're not a Travel Media Group customer, how can a hotelier sign up, and how much does it cost, Jason?
Yeah, so if you go to tmgoneview.com, and that's like TMG, like Travel Media Group. So tmgoneview.com, you're gonna immediately go into a place where you can claim your property. And as you'll see on that page, you have a 60-day free trial if you start right up. So it allows you to get right in, claim your property, and walk through the steps to actually see your feed. So you can see your feed today. So you have that ability to do that. And if you continue on with us after that 60 days, it's $65 a month.
And you can follow those best practices that Jason, told us earlier in this presentation as far as getting started and the best way to get started there. So if you have any additional questions, as promised, here is my direct phone number as well as email. I want to go ahead and thank Jason for taking the time to join me on this webinar today, and thank everyone for listening. So have a fantastic rest of your week.